That hurt.
I'm tuned in like crazy, and I'm pretending like I know what they're doing, and I'm,
articulate and intelligent.
Gregg's a bitch. That's all.
I find them offensive as hell.
I've never been a fan.
Yeah, fuck them.
Ooh, terrible! Bad! Not bad! Oh, pretty good. Okay, decent, fair, great. I loved it.
This sucks. Yeah, you really gotta wonder how this stuff, gets made.
Welcome to the Straight Red Card. So we haven't covered this yet, Brett, but apparently I was talking to my son on the phone during halftime. Charlie Davis was saying some weird shit during the halftime show, and I missed it. You're like, you just missed some shit. What did he say?
Either he was talking out his ass or he said the quiet part out loud. Either way, I don't want to try to paraphrase what he said. I'd rather you see and listen to what he said.
Oh, okay. That's probably safer. Yeah.
I've got the halftime show queued up here.
Okay.
Let's cover the couple minutes that it's on, and I think it'll be.
I can't believe I missed this shit.
I think it'll be fun. Yeah, I'm kind of glad you did miss it, just so that way we have to go over.
Yeah,
and this will be your first time seeing it.
Man, you got this already? Damn.
Yeah.
By the way,
I had it prepped and ready before the show started.
This is all being recorded, by the way, the night of the game.
Yes.
So here we go.
On Twitter right now, and just huge news breaking about the former US men's national team coach Gregg Berhalter. We can show you a tweet from Paul Tenorio, who's a senior writer at The Athletic, saying Gregg Berhalter is set to return as the manager of the US men's national team.
All right, before we even get that, is according to multiple sources briefed on the negotiations. So what's your first thought when you think of Berhalter coming back? Because we just found out earlier today that from Jesse Marsh's agent that Jesse's no longer considered an option for the U.S. men's national team.
I would just say the mirage was real. Remember when I tweeted all that shit after 29 called me naive? Thank you. Yep. And that they were doing a real search, but then Jesse was really going to be the guy named, and I said maybe not, maybe, and then maybe it'll be somebody else. Like I had this idea it could be somebody else, but no, it's not going to be somebody else. And because Tack brought it up, he said, "Yeah, this is really could be just a ruse," and Gregg's just going to be hired in the end anyhow.
Yeah,
and I said, "Yeah, I guess that's very possible, and if it is, I'm going to be extremely fucking pissed off." And I guess I'm about to be pissed off when this is announced because we don't need Gregg. We look better with Hudson and BJ Callahan than we've ever looked with Gregg. Ever.
Yeah.
Ever looked with Gregg. Ever. I can't remember a game where I watched us play Mexico again and went, damn, we make them look like little fucking hobbits.
Playing? Yeah.
We make them look like they were our bitches. I've never seen a game like that. And that was under BJ Callahan. Yeah. Really. And I've never seen the freedom we had under Hudson and Callahan that we like. Is Gregg really going to be the guy that's going to give these guys freedom? Or is he going to be the systems Gregg that we always knew? The fucking micromanager that Gregg is.
I wonder if he's going to come back and look at it and go, man, maybe I was overthinking this. Hey guys, here's your positions. Go play.
Just go out and do
have fun.
The shit.
You do you.
We got our basic principles. You play within those principles, but then you be creative when you can be.
Yeah.
And that's what we saw with BJ, and that's what we saw with Hudson. We never got to see that with Gregg. Very rarely, and it was only in like 20-minute, 10-minute spurts. We didn't get to see it for a whole game. We just got to see it for a whole game. Mm-hmm. And so are we going to get to see that with Gregg, the micromanaging prick, the ball-headed fucking cockhead going forward, the lying sack of shit going forward, the Mr. Philosopher who's so dumb he doesn't realize he not even close to touching consciousness or understanding philosophy or being within or without himself. Fuck this dude. If he's back, it'll be good for us because we'll have 3 more years of talking about a
pure content. Yeah,
lying
from a content creating standpoint, this is great. But from a U.S. men's national team standpoint,
it's not good.
Oh my god,
I would rather have a better coach. Yeah,
I 100% agree, because then we might be all that fun things to talk about, like we did in the overview of this match.
Being blown away about how good we are.
Oh, we're awesome. This is great. This is how it feels. Really? No,
just dominating Mexico, dominating them.
So my stance on this whole thing is that maybe a decade ago, the smoke and mirrors behind this we're doing a new search. Berhalter's not in the equation anymore, and then a handful of months later, you rehire Berhalter. That might have worked a decade ago when the internet was still young and the boards were fresh and people weren't really on the internet. But the internet's forever. People won't forget. But here's the big thing: USSF doesn't care. They don't care.
They've never cared. They've never given two bitches. They've
what's
been
going to happen?
deaf. It's shit.
What's going to happen to USSF when they hire Gregg Berhalter back? Nothing. There's not going to be some mass boycotting of the U.S. men's national team. They're not going to lose any financial gain. Yeah, it's a small.
On Twitter already.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah. The number of USSFs going around and saying, "Hey, make sure you leave a message and voice your displeasure on it." And you know what they're going to do? Delete.
I know D-Rex making a call tomorrow.
You better record that shit too.
I will.
I
will record it. Yeah.
They're not going to lose any skin in this game, so they're going to bring him back, and it's a coach that they can control. This is their game, and this is how they're moving forward with it. Why would they want to do anything else?
It's sad.
That's again assuming he gets rehired, and all indication appears that it's going to happen.
Betty Crocker's just a bitch. He's just a bitch of the system.
Yeah.
Can you really take over this team and think that this fucking pencil neck, fucking ball-headed bitch is the guy that needs to take this fucking team forward after, getting totally smashed by Holland, like totally outmastered, outcoached? I just don't
maybe USSF's looking at Hudson and looking how BJ did today and everything like that and going, maybe we just bring Gregg on. We're still going to do good because it apparently doesn't matter who's coaching this team as long as, they don't do the micromanaging bullshit.
Well, here's what they're going to say, Brett. They're going to say the culture that Gregg Berhalter has built in this team has sustained itself through the Hudson and Callahan regime.
Yeah.
And it's so evident that his culture building is so powerful that even with him gone, this team continues to grow and become the butterfly that it needs to be. They'll use some fucking stupid corporate language, not the butterfly thing. That's more fucking for stoners. But they'll do something and say something like that. And it'll be about the family and the culture they're building. And we'll get to hear about that for another goddamn fucking week after he's hired. Because he'll be doing interviews and talking about his system and the culture. And we'll all want to
develop a nice culture within the locker room. And we're like a family.
So fucking puke
All
worthy.
right, let's continue because we got to get through a couple people here.
Multiple sources briefed on the negotiations. Deal still being finalized, but
We
return
can't see.
is imminent. Listen, all this
We can't have to wait for that
process
thing to
that
go
we've
away.
been
It's on its own.
Two
It's
interim
Paramount
managers,
Plus.
the drama, the wait, and now we are back in the same place that we were 6 months ago. How are US fans supposed to feel about this?
It's a solid question to ask. How are U.S. men's national team fans supposed to think about this?
Like they've been
feel about this?
fucking bent over and without any lube, a put on to the cock, it being jammed into your fucking intestinal rectal system with multiple fucking pulsating goddamn hip pumps. That's what it's going to feel like. For the average fan of the U.S. men's national team, you're going to feel like you're getting gang raped in a fucking jail. because that's what's just happened. This was a ruse. It was a mirage. And bend over and then get ready to get some fucking aspirin or Advil or whatever the fuck you use, because your ass is going to be in fucking rectal pain. We are getting rectally wrecked in this decision.
Like topical numbing cream of some form.
I mean, dude, you can lighten this up all you want, but this is a total rectum wrecking. This is what this is. This is telling the fans, you don't matter. You guys are haters. We don't care what you say. Gregg's a culture guy. He's coming back, and you can open your big goddamn floppy, sloppy lips and take a big cocksuck in the mouth and the ass at the same time like you're being spit roasted, motherfucker, because we don't give a shit. You don't count. We are the boss of you, and fuck you for having an opinion. That's what this is, dude.
Well, let's see if Let's see if Dempsey shares your opinion. Let's see if he shares your opinion.
Oh boy,
I'm confused because you did something bad enough that lost you the job or caused these interim coaches to be in play, or you didn't. And if you go back with Berhalter, then we wasted a lot of time. Why we wasted this much time?
Yes.
To just go back with who we had in the beginning. But saying that, even after the World Cup, I did think he did a good job getting out of the group. We were outcoached in the Holland match, but still,
you've gotten out of the group before.
Yeah.
So he's like, we've wasted so much time. Why would we do that? Because USSF has a policy that they're going to be focusing on transparency. For good reason, they set up this policy. But now you have this entire rigmarole where an investigation came into play. And then all of a sudden, the investigation went all the way through May because the time frame wasn't accurate or whatever the fuck.
If you think any
April.
of what went down is transparent, then you think you can see through a cock from its one side to the next, because nothing about this has been transparent. Absolutely zero of this has been transparent. Even the hiring of Betty Crocker and since has been a load of fucking Crocker. So don't even come at me with transparency. They don't know what that even means. What that means is, we'll give them a little and we'll try to fake them out. And then we'll pretend to be transparent. But what there really are the same cock-sucking fucking idiots who think they know how to fake people out. Like, they're the opposite of any, I don't even want to use the word Goebbels. Like Goebbels, he can fucking mind fuck people into believing stupid shit, right? Well, these guys are the opposite of that. They're so incompetent that they just backfire constantly. Everything they do is a massive backfire because they're not in touch with the average fan. They're not in touch with the average American soccer fan either. They're not in touch with anything. Basic human beings. They think they're smarter than you are. And that's the problem. They're not in touch with the fact that you're smart too. They think we're all fucking stupid shits and they can just play around with us. But no, the gig is up. The gig is up. And the Mirage and Ruse game did happen. What was the report yesterday? Who was the manager yesterday? We got in the news that the U.S. Soccer was so interested in. Former manager of New York City.
Oh, yeah.
FC. All right?
Yeah.
Guy that was just the manager of Crystal Palace. Okay? That made
apparently he's very interested in the coaching role.
Why put that out yesterday and the day before and tickle our little tits and now give us the same lump of fucking coal?
It was the same time period whenever
Marsh
Club America came out and said, yeah, we're going to be bringing Berhalter on.
No,
and then it's not if you really put those two things together, unless it was all, again, part of a ruse and a plan, what it sounded like is like USSF was like a jilted lover, like, oh, your ex is going off with this new person over here. So, well, we got this new girlfriend over here, you know. her boyfriend instance. But
so we're not going to hire a guy that coached at Crystal Palace, that coached in France. We're going to go and hire the same twat we had for the last 4 years. That's what we're going to do.
On that.
We're not going to. Marsh's people and his agents have already put out, yeah, we're out. They're going to hire the twat. You know, that's what they said today.
Yeah.
They didn't say twat, but I'm just filling in the blank.
Paraphrasing.
Yeah. But they still tickle our dicks all week with other options outside of Marsh, right? And we weren't even that excited by Marsh, but we thought it'd be an improvement over fucking this dick licker. And here we are, right back to the same dude who likes to nozzle on philosophy like he's some sort of Socrates, right? But he ain't.
Yeah. I guess the bigger question is: would we be better off with Hudson or even BJ than Marsh?
Dude, I'd take BJ right now. Not take a one, but take him.
You beat me to the punchline there, Derek.
No, we get right back to the same Nas gobbler we had before. I can't believe we're going back and we're reversing, like we're going back in time when Superman went around the fucking earth in reverse.
You know, it's 2 steps forward and 5 steps back, I guess.
God, we saw so many great leaps since Berhalter was gone, and it's all going to go back. I hope it doesn't. I love to believe that Gregg has learned something from this. I would love to believe that. But in his 4 years, I saw very little learning, and I saw only incremental, very tiny steps forward and then many steps back.
It was
tiny steps forward.
It was constantly the square peg in the round hole. We didn't see massive change until the World Cup time period.
Right.
Like actual changing of the quote unquote system, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Do I think would continue that pattern? I don't know. I mean, BJ was basically Berhalter 2.0. Everything he was saying just screamed Berhalter, but then he put out more of Hudson ball than Berhalter ball today. Although he did kind of go back. The double pivot.
Well, he did go back to the 4-3-3, but it was the most freest 4-3-3 I've seen.
It was like a mesh, a hybrid between Berhalter ball and Hudson ball.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's continue with Dempsey, and I think Charlie's going to follow up with that.
All right.
Yeah, we have, but this is a team that a lot of them was their very first World Cup.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's the golden generation.
The third youngest team.
And we'll see if that's the case.
Facts.
So, but at the same time, moving forward, I even said then, we need to be graded upon how we do in Copa America and how we do in CONCACAF Nations League. And then if they're not getting the job done, then someone new needs to come in.
That's rough, though, because once Copa happens, what the hell do we have to play for until the World Cup?
Not a whole lot.
Handful of friendlies that pop up periodically between. Well, I guess we'll still have Nations League.
Nations League never ends.
Yeah,
never
it's a
ends.
yearly thing. So
yeah.
Okay, so we got a couple more Nations League where we'll basically play Mexico and Canada for the next 2 years.
It's just not going to make us better.
No.
We're going to have to get, obviously, some friendlies in.
We got like Germany and Spain or something like that coming up here.
Yeah, we need some tough ones. We need some tough ones. Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm confused by the decisions.
Yeah.
Yes. Matt Crocker is actually in a box.
Oh, wait a minute.
There's
Betty.
Betty.
Who will have
Betty?
made this call.
There's Betty.
There's
Betty Crocker.
Soccer Federation haven't actually confirmed or denied at this point.
Like they're going to tell us shit. Come on.
I mean, I'm confused on multiple levels, if I'm honest. Do you think that this is in any way related to the fact that we saw the news yesterday that Club America was about to offer Gregg Berhalter the job?
No.
Did the U.S. Soccer Federation look at that and panic almost and think, well, if he takes that, then we've lost him too. And where do we go?
Anywhere.
No, that's not it.
You bring Hudson back from Saudi Arabia and say, hey, come back. Come on back.
Dude, you don't have to do that. You go to Matarazzo and you talk to him about it. You hire Jesse Marsh.
Was it Filippo said on Twitter that he's heard that USSF never actually reached out to Hugo Perez. They're talking.
No,
we've got somebody we're talking to from Central America. We're talking to some people here in America. We've got some Europeans.
Hugo Perez. You think these motherfuckers? They are so happy to be rid of that generation of coaches. Hugo Perez, Wegerle, everybody from Top Ramos, they don't want him. They're done with his ass. I'm thinking about that whole generation of Lawless's generation too. And Hugo Perez is from the older one. They are so done with those fuckers. And Hugo Perez deserves a look, deserves a real review for what he has done with El Salvador's team, a much lesser team, and still a competitive team. And we're never going to get a chance to look at it.
Result recently. They got beat. Mind you, they got a red card in like the 4th minute. They got beat handedly by Japan, like 6-0 or something like that.
Ugh, yeah, that's not good.
But again,
Japan's a great team, though.
Yeah, you're playing Japan already, and then you get a red card in the 4th minute. I mean, it was a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Charlie's jumping in, I believe. That's what he says about whether or not Club America was the big factor here.
I think there wasn't many options. Matt Crocker probably came into his job and has been doing his
They were interviewing like 10 people, he said.
And who's going to be within our price range?
Yep.
We're not going to pay Jose Mourinho $18 million to run the USMNT, be the head coach of this group.
First off, do you think he'd cost $18 million?
I don't think he's an option, period.
Let's say he was an option. Let's say he really wanted the coaching gig.
I really can't accept that because there's no way
over the course of the cycle.
Even if he was, there's no way he is actually, because he doesn't play the kind of soccer that U.S. Soccer Federation is looking.
Oh, sure.
Jose Mourinho is a defensive counterattacking manager, period.
Sure. Oh, I don't disagree with him on that.
So he's just using him as an example.
Sure, yeah. And Charlie brought up the magical number 18 million. I'm just saying, do you think he would actually would cost us 18 million a year, or do you think he meant like 18 for the entire cycle? Regardless, because if it's 18 for the entire cycle, yeah, USSF could afford that.
Yeah, it's a poor example, by the way. I wish you would have used somebody else as an example, but Matarazzo's not going to cost you 18 million.
No, he
might
not even cost more than Berhalter.
We don't need to talk about these massive managers because that was never realistic to begin with.
Yeah. And how much of a giant leap forward do you think he would actually make with the
None. He'd be frustrated with. Yeah.
Probably frustrated the organization itself more so than anything.
Group. So if there's not many options that you believe in, you don't want to take a risk, you want to go with something you know, all the players have been spoken to by Matt Crocker. Who do you want? Everyone's talking about we want Gregg Berhalter back. So he won.
Not everyone, dude. Stop that shit. Stop that shit. No, that is not what happened. That is not what happened.
Well,
no,
it's everybody to him because he's only seen a handful of videos that have come out where interviews are talking to people and like, yeah, we might have him back, but that you don't hear all the people like, fuck, I don't want him back. He sucks donkey dick. You know, those videos don't exist.
No, they're not going to call John Brooks. They're not going to call, they're not going to talk to.
They're not going to ask Gio.
They're not going to talk to all the guys of the Wasserman agency players, but
Pepe hyped up Hudson in the very first match.
I'm sure Matt Turner got a call and he said, yeah, that'd be fine.
Whatever.
And he shrugged like he did in that video and he laughed and he said, that's fine. But, I don't know. There's never been a ringing endorsement from the players. Davies, stop it. We've had this discussion here. We went through the quotes. We broke them down. None of those were ringing endorsements of Gregg Berhalter.
Well, do you remember Pulisic's first interview where a lot of people, obviously said like, oh my God, Pulisic's dead to me because he's pro Berhalter. But basically what he said is like, I really don't care who we bring in. We've got this core group of guys who know how to play with each other. And would I like Greg back? Yeah, I'm fine with Greg being back.
I'm fine with him. He should be considered.
Well yeah. So
considered. We've gone through this.
Yeah. To your point, I don't think there's ever been a ringing endorsement like, oh my God, we would fail without Berhalter if he wasn't here, But But
Yeah.
the Pulisic's interview point, you saw what it was under Hudson, how they performed. You saw tonight's game against Mexico under BJ and how they performed. Pulisic's right in that sense. It doesn't really matter who's at the helm. I mean, it can, but it doesn't. And he just doesn't want the waters too shaky with a particular new manager. Might try to mix things up.
Pulisic got free reign under Gregg.
Sure.
And we've heard that mentioned by other players that, Pulisic, he doesn't do anything outrageous anyhow, but it's like he can get away with whatever he wants with Gregg, and, he's the man under Gregg. And I mean, if you're some guy thinks you're the fucking, hottest bitch on the block, you're going to want to go play for the guy who thinks you're the hottest bitch on the block. Did I just call him a prostitute? Anyhow, yeah, I didn't mean that, but that's, probably a poor metaphor, but you get the point.
Well, maybe Davies has a better metaphor here. Let's see.
And I think,
but what were you saying earlier? You were saying no way.
I said no way. After you go through the process, all this back and forth, and I think you lose a little bit of the trust in talking about what happened during the World Cup, why players didn't play, certain
Good
players
for you,
like Gio
Davies.
Reyna.
I agree with you on that.
And then all that comes out.
Yep.
I thought it was hard to go back because it felt like everyone was tired of the whole saga, and they were ready for a new coach to come in.
Perfectly
But if you
clean.
look
Just
at his numbers,
wipe it fresh.
37 wins, 12 draws, 11 losses.
Hmm.
He has the best winning percentage of any American coach. He's done well with this group. So
That was a code joke.
No, BJ has the best winning record of any U.S. men's national team. It's 100%.
I like our little code jerk thing that was going on there. Yeah, that's just a dumb thing to say.
I hate that stat because you have to look at the matches too. Yeah, he played some European teams, and of course he played in the World Cup. But for the most part, almost all of his games were Nations League and Gold Cup and World Cup qualifying. That's predominantly all he played. And of course, he's going to win most of those games.
I had no idea that Charlie Davies had mind melded with Michael Cameraman, but he just did. How unfortunate to mind meld with the turd in the background.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Go with the unknown or go with what you know in terms of available coaches. It makes sense from Matt Crocker's perspective to go with. Let me go with what I know is the safe bet and the best available coach.
Oh, that makes Matt Crocker the biggest pussy twat I've ever met then.
Why even bring him in at that point?
What's the point?
Like,
you could
we're going to pay you money to come in here to select a coach, and then he comes in and goes, I don't really want to take a chance. Let's just bring in the guy who did okay last cycle, okay?
Just hire Greg's brother and get it over with. Hire Dick Licker Jr. Who gives a shit then? Who you brought in. I mean, give me a fucking break. Matt Crocker makes the safe pick. Well, what a fucking pussy. Instead of going with the best recipe in the goddamn fucking baking fucking catalog, he goes with the basic brownies. The basic brownies. We don't need the basic brownies, man. We need the best cupcake ever made. And now you're going back to basic brownies, Crocker? You fucking... What a loser chef that mother baker, whatever you want to call him. What a loser. What a fucking faker, too. What a faker. All his interviews about, we're interviewing him and it's we're really, really doing our due diligence. Fuck you, you fake fucking cocksucker. Fuck you, Crocker. Fuck you. Anyhow, if this really happens and goes down and Gregg is hired, fuck Matt Crocker. Right in that fucking asshole. Fuck him.
And he's the best American coach right now.
Do you give him a 4-year deal, or you think something like
the best American coach right now?
I think
the best
you go up into Copa America.
I think Charlie just lost his shit. His brain full of marbles.
What's the progress from the World Cup, from this Nations League today? They're the better team, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
How do you?
They started slow though. But they grew into the game.
Like
and they
5 minutes. They started slow.
Will this news
yeah,
be
I mean,
heard in the locker room?
they kicked their ass.
No, I don't think so. You're dialed.
She goes, would this news be heard in the locker room? Do you think BJ's going? They're all sitting there like, wow, that was a great first half, guys. Let's keep it going. Ding ding. Great news, guys. Berhalter is going to take my spot back after the Gold Cup. Woo!
And you know what's really good about that? He's going to probably keep me on as assistant coach so I can give you all reach arounds late at night when you're crying in bed and you're missing your mom.
Master PowerPoint presentator. Hoorah.
Oh, and yeah, unlike Greg's PowerPoints, and you know how mine are blurry, we'll go back to the other ones that are clear and everyone can read, like how we're going to change the way the world views American soccer. Oh, goody. Let's lube up. Let's lube up for Gregg. Lube it up. Pass the KY around.
I wonder why they really blurred out the PowerPoint. What was on the PowerPoint that they felt the need to have to blur out? Because were they concerned that Mexico's watching the behind the crests and trying to glean how US is going to come out and play as if they didn't watch or play against them for an entire fucking cycle? I mean,
well, here's what I was told was on the screen that they blurred out. And it was basically this. It said, if any of you dumb motherfuckers don't think Gregg Berhalter's coming back to this team, you better wake the fuck up, because he is. So you better all start talking nice about Gregg starting now. And that was what was on the screen, and they had to blur that out because they didn't want to break the news too early.
Okay. And I know Davies' comment that the whole reason I brought this up.
I know we haven't even got to it yet.
We haven't even got to it yet. But
Yeah.
I got to come up here very, very shortly.
Eldon, you're focused. You're not picking up your phone.
No.
You're focused on this game. It's the biggest rivalry. You're not paying attention to anything outside. They're mature
Okay,
enough to know
full time. When Gio Reyna comes off the pitch and he does go and check his notifications, what's Gio thinking?
Oh.
I think Gio's thinking,
You have to think that when
What word you said in Spanish earlier?
fracaso. Fracaso. But I think
For the love
you
of
have
God,
this
just get to the
conversation
point.
before you hire Gregg Berhalter again and say, can you move on? Can you move past it? And I think both are mature.
Hey, that's a level of toxicity.
Do you think both
that
are
is
mature
hard
enough
to
to
get
get past that? Gio
Yeah,
and Berhalter?
he says that's a level of toxicity that's hard to get past. You know, based on Reyna's hair color, I think he's fully capable of probably getting past of it because he's just got to, right?
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
no, he has to. Yes, absolutely.
listen, if you're kidnapped and there's a gun to your head, right? And some motherfucker with the gun in his hand says, you better suck this cock or I'm going to blow your brains out. You're going to suck the cock, right? So Reyna's going to have to get ready to do that because as much as he's going to despise that situation, that the guy that basically kidnapped him said some horrible shit about him personally that should never have come out, caused a whole ruckus, and then his parents and him and Berhalter, they all had this big feud, and that's all gross and disgusting and nasty. He's just going to have to swallow it, buddy, you know, and move on. And you're going to hope that Gregg doesn't ever do that again. That is offend the whole Reyna family and mostly Gio to the point. Like, we don't need to see that sort of disgusting shit happen again.
Well, he came out. At least he came out after it all went down. He came out and admitted that he fucked up and he shouldn't have used that as an example. And this got brought back up, obviously, with the announcement of Gregg likely coming back. That obviously the talk of Gio's situation at the World Cup and how all the whole investigation, everything came back up. And somebody had asked, like, well, do you think they handled the Gio situation well? Do you think they handled Weston's situation well back when Weston got kicked out of camp? And I'm like, I was fine with Weston's suspension. I was fine with Gio's
I saw
suspension.
that. Yeah.
What I wasn't fine with was the fact that Berhalter, instead of digging back into his history of coaching or being a leader as a captain at any of his clubs or national teams, that he picked a story about leadership that happened literally less than a month ago. And it happened to be with a person who is part of a family that you're feuding with. And he knew that. I mean, the threats came out a couple weeks back.
Gregg thought it was going to be off.
So nothing's off the record is also what I said.
Yeah, he thought it's going to be off the record.
It was dumb. I wouldn't have touched that with the 10-foot pole. I wouldn't have touched that topic with your dick.
Yeah, because you would have to grab it in order to
That's
do
true.
it.
Fair play. Fair play.
Surely.
You can see how he's playing on the pitch. Gio Reyna has to be on the field. He's that good. So you have to move forward.
Yeah.
That's the only way. And if you can't get by that, then you can't be the coach.
If you're the U.S. Soccer Federation, would a candidate without controversy not have been a healthier choice?
Here comes. I think this is it.
But who? I want to know who was who had
Who
the
were the
opportunity
options?
to have that
Matarazzo.
I agree with Charlie in the sense that you want to go with someone who's been proven and you don't really have a lot of money to spend because I don't know what the budget is. And in terms of how long of a deal,
Halftime show went a lot faster when I was actually watching.
You don't
Apparently,
get the job done in Copa
This is
America.
confusing me,
You
though.
might
I'm
need
sorry.
to make a change.
But there is not a lot of money for the role of
There we
managing
go,
the
finally.
U.S. men's national team.
I
That's
don't
all
know
you-
why.
I don't know.
I'll tell you why. You can't go out.
okay, I want to pause this
Oh,
because I want to catch this
boy.
whole thing here.
All right,
So
I'll
she
shut
said,
up.
"Wait, are you saying that there's not a lot of money for a U.S. men's national team coach?"
Yep.
But what was Berhalter paid? I forgot. He was paid like something like 1.
He was one of the highest paid
1.4
managers in the
million,
World Cup.
a year.
He was one of the highest managers paid in the World Cup, period. Top
So
10, 15, I think.
yeah.
Yep.
So she was asking, does the U.S. not have money in their coffers to pay for a higher up coach?
Well, because they're jackasses, they might not. But
Yeah, it's possible.
And get anybody you want, because don't forget the equality and equity with the U.S. Women's National
There's a
Team.
lot of stuff going on.
You can't
And
pay
the house was cleaned.
You can't pay the men's coach $10-12 million and Vlatko Adanovsky, who is the number one coach in women's soccer because they're ranked world number one, and pay him $1 million.
Does that disadvantage the men's team?
The disparity, that's what women's soccer have been fighting for. You have to play both sides, and that's why you can't go out and hire.
he's a man.
What?
The manager of the women's national team is a dude. So,
Well, it won't
fuck 'em.
always be. I mean, it's been women in the past.
Well, then
but-
you're going to have to pay the woman manager close to the same, I guess, if this is what Charlie's argument is. But at this point, he's a man. You could pay him $50,000 if you wanted to. Doesn't matter. He's a man. So equal
know.
pay,
I mean,
equal pay in this situation, man versus man. He's coaching the women's team, but he's a man. He only gets what, $1 million?
USSF is absolutely going to be hamstringing themselves for the foreseeable future if that's true. Because you're not going to bring.
I hope that's not true.
You're not going to bring in anybody else outside of MLS at that point.
I have to say,
I mean, that's what they want too, though. You know.
No, I mean the basic fee for a top woman's manager, in reality, is going to be less than the best managers on the men's side in the world. That's just a fucking reality. Whether that's right or wrong, it is a reality. And I don't know if what Charlie's saying is true, though. I don't know if that's how
Like I
they're
said,
doing it. Because the manager of the women's team is a man.
Mhm.
So if it was a woman, I could see some of the argument.
Obviously it's a women's national team versus men's national team. They're talking about pay discrepancy about how women were paid less. But you're right. In this situation, it's just a man being paid less, correct?
Right. So fuck him. We can pay our men's manager whatever we want as long as the woman's manager is also a man.
Mm. Yeah, and I guess
in theory,
the whole breakdown. Yeah, the whole breakdown is again the women's CBA was negotiated by the women. That's what they want to keep. The argument that they made was the pay discrepancy that were being paid out in bonuses for when men move on in the World Cup. It's like disqualifying for the World Cup. The men already qualified and they get $10 million bonuses, which is significantly more than if you actually win the Women's World Cup. And that's the argument they're making is that the men are going to get paid more. Than
I'm not
women.
even going to get into that
nothing
debate.
to do with payment of actual employees of USSF. So
no, I'm not going to get into this. The players can have their debate all they want. That's
it's not my
fine.
money; it's their money, so they can do whatever they want.
So, but if we're getting down to staff, and the coach is a man, I don't get the arguments in here from there on out. I don't get it. It's man versus man. One guy has one job. in the federation. The other guy's the other job. One guy's worth this much because of his experience. The other guy's worth this much. It's man versus man. And if you want to get into like, okay, we're hiring
But
back.
gender shouldn't play any factor in that. What you just said, anyways.
Who?
I said gender shouldn't play a factor in that, anyways, because you were just specifying the difference between this man and this man is that they're.
I know.
Their
I'm just
history and all the everything. So I'm just saying.
I'm just trying to get past this argument at
Yeah.
this point. All right. I think it's ridiculous, and I don't think it's real. I think that the U.S. soccer can go out and pay whatever guy they want it, because Gregg's still going to get paid way more, period, if he's hired back than the dude who is running.
But that's the thing, though. If this is true, and let's say Davies knows something we don't know, it's very possible. He's got inside tracks there. But let's just say that is true. That means Berhalter would have to take a pay cut.
It's not true. Berhalter's not taking a pay cut, and he will get paid a lot more than the women's national team coach. So I don't know what this is, but this is a weird thing he's going to. We'll see how this works out for him.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
what the hell?
That's the main point I want to get to. Which
I thought they called him out for saying that. That's it. That's all we get.
I mean, I can continue playing, but I don't think anybody says anything about it. Let's hear it. Let's just verify.
Joseph,
I had never thought about it from that
Guardiola,
perspective.
even if Pep Guardiola said, "Hey, I want to coach the U.S. men's national team, but you got to pay me $15 million," they can't do it. They can't.
Listen, we are going to have to go to a break.
Wowee.
Out for second half as well.
That was I think that was him leaning into a. Again, I think it's some matter of bullshittery. As far as I know, it hasn't been a factor. And
I don't think that's
Berhalter
true.
if Berhalter does come back, then he's going to have to take a pay cut. So
That's what you're saying, and you believe
Well, no,
what you're saying.
Assuming no, I don't believe that. I'm saying assuming that Chuck knows what he's talking about here, and that's
Which he
the fact of
doesn't.
the matter. If the women's national team coach is making $1 million a year, that means Berhalter can't make any more than $1 million a year. Actually, they would just say, here's a flat rate for any coach that comes to coach for the United States men's national team, regardless of who you are.
Well, we'll see if that comes to fruition. I doubt it. That might be why Marsh looked at it and said, but I don't know if that Marsh thing was ever serious to begin with. And I am not sure that God damn it, who is the former manager of Crystal Palace?
Patrick
What
Vieira.
is-
Is that who you're talking about?
Patrick Vieira. I got to wonder, since that just came out this week and was fondled about in the press like it was a real thing, right before we're about to hear that the Berhalter deal is sealed, is just another false flag to make us think they really did their due diligence. And if that's the case,
Yeah. Well, we've interviewed all these people.
I want to fucking fist punch Matt Crocker right in his fucking asshole, because he's a liar. He's a fucking fibber. He's looked us in the eye and was completely dishonest with us this all the way here through this beginning of his career. He's just another U.S. soccer cocksucker. And if that's the case, and that's where we are, nothing has changed. We live in the same bullshit, tone-deaf, cocksucker leadership that we have always had at U.S. soccer since I started covering the sport.
Yeah.
At least the cocksuckers were ruthless back then, but now there are too many receipts. There are too many receipts, motherfuckers, and everybody's watching. Nobody cared in 1990. Nobody cared in 2000. Now everyone cares, and they all got receipts, you dumb cunts. We all watched this charade, and now you're going to be taken to task. We're gonna take you to task for running another fucking charade. So you go ahead and you hire Matt Crocker. You go ahead and hire Gregg fucking Berhalter for another despicable 4 years of overmanagement and micromanagement. But none of us are going to be happy with it.
And again, taking the national team out of the equation, what has Berhalter done to be deemed, quote unquote, the best American coach out there at this point?
Charlie's smoking some shit.
What has he done?
That.
He hasn't done anything at the club level. I mean, he's managed, but he hasn't done anything really at the club level. He got released from Hamburg, and he got didn't really do. Or was it Hammerby? Where did he coach?
Hammerby, yes.
And then he did okay-ish for Columbus. And then he comes to the United States national team with this incredibly talented squad. Now, of course, they're young and experienced, and they have their own faults, of course. But he performs, gets 2 trophies out of the groups, and then we see the exact same performance, if not better, when he leaves. So maybe
Gregg Berhalter
is the players in that sense.
He's the best manager to ever manage the U.S. national team. He's had more victories, and he has kicked more women in his career than any manager that has ever managed before. He has insulted players and got away with it and been rehired like no other manager prior to in the United States men's national team managerialship. He has sucked more cocks and gave more reach arounds than anyone has been able to tabulate. We just know it's a lot. All right. Until the next time. Or we got more stuff you want to cover.
You brought up the kick more women, so I wanted to bring this up real quick. So Toxic Tom here says, a federation that does not care about the fans continues to mock us and kick us to the curb. Oh, wait. I should never have expected anything else.
Exactly.
I said, kicked us to the curb. I see what you did there.
Yes. Bing. Okay. Until the next time on the Straight Red Card, I want you to all understand that what you say doesn't seemingly matter to the cocksucker crockers over at US Soccer. They just threw a ruse. They just gave you a big mirage without any massages. Oh, they threw out the names like Patrick Vieira. But in the end, you still get the old salty fucking white-ass cracker bitch you didn't want. Until the next time on the Straight Red Card, we'll see you. Good night.
That hurt.
I'm tuned in like crazy, and I'm pretending like I know what they're doing, and I'm,
The articulate and intelligent.
Gregg's a bitch. That's all.
I find them offensive as hell.
I've never been a fan.
Yeah, fuck them.
Ooh, terrible! Bad! Not bad! Oh, pretty good. Okay, decent, fair, great. I loved it.
This sucks. Yeah, you really gotta wonder how the stuff gets made.